Hey y'all, howdy. Welcome to One for the Books. I'm Sandy Broadwell, and this is a weird start to this vlog. Welcome, first of all, to my anticipated releases vlog. I'm planning on doing probably 2 anticipated releases vlogs this year, or new releases, 2025 books. This one, my plan was to read the new Emily Wilde book, which is called Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. It's the 3rd and final book following Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies and Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. And then Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. Death of the Author is the one that I'm perhaps most, or I guess least anticipating, just because it's like a new book. It's not part of an ongoing series. And the only thing that I've read by Nnedi Okorafor before this is a novella series, which is Binti. I had a great time with the first book, but a bit of a mixed experience with the following 2 books, or novellas at least. So I'm interested to see what a full-length novel from this author will look like for me. And then the final book, actually, these 2 books I think both came out in February. It's February right now when I'm filming this. And I feel like you guys might not be seeing this until April or potentially even May. And that's because the 3rd book that I want to read for this vlog is going to be The Book That Held Her Heart, which is the 3rd and final book of the Library Trilogy by Mark Lawrence. And that is the 3rd book following The Book That Wouldn't Burn and The Book That Broke the World. I can't remember which order those 2 go in. So those are the 3 books that I want to read for this vlog. Unfortunately, life has intervened somewhat. I started Emily Wilde, and then my brother was very suddenly hospitalized, and I had to drive across the state to be with him and help take care of my niece while he was in the hospital. And he's still in the hospital right now, but things are looking up right now. So it's been a whirlwind of a week, and I did finish Emily Wilde, but I was mostly reading it while I was in the hospital, and obviously that was not an appropriate time or place to be vlogging. So yeah. I guess I will just go ahead and tell you what my thoughts are on Emily Wilde, even though I didn't vlog it. And let me just say that if you liked the first 2 books, you will definitely like the 3rd book. The tone is very much the same. I really like the balance that Heather Fawcett, the author, has in this series between kind of a cozy feeling read while still playing with a lot of darker elements and themes. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the series, Emily Wilde is a scholar in the early 1900s of dryadology. She basically studies fairies, as I'm sure you can guess from the titles of the books. And in the first book, she is with a sort of academic rival or fellow colleague named Wendell Bamblebee, and their dynamic is pretty fun. Emily Wilde is a very prickly character and reads a little bit maybe on the spectrum somewhere, and just not understanding social interactions and getting a lot of anxiety around people. Always feels more comfortable with books and things like that. Wendell is just gregarious and fun and charming and the opposite of Emily in every way. And so he really gets under her skin very easily. And by the 3rd book, and I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, but it is on the description, a book cover, but by the 3rd book, they are engaged. Wendell and Emily are engaged, and Wendell is a fairy king. So this 3rd book is about them going back to Wendell's kingdom, which he has been exiled from for a number of years because his basically evil stepmother has been ruling the kingdom and kicked him out of it. And so he's going back to kind of take his rightful place, and Emily wants to help him with that and study the fairies along the way. So this one was a really fun tale because almost the entire story takes place in fairy. Fairy's a very weird place, as you can imagine. And they also not only have aspects of the story that are in fairy and in the real world, but also in the Vale and some purgatory type places, which I thought was a cool kind of lens to add some dynamic to the story. This book was a great comfort to me in what has been one of the most harrowing weeks of my life. And so I don't really have a lot of critiques to say about this book. it was charming and delightful and cozy, and I absolutely loved the like footnotes throughout that she has. The story is same as the first two books, as if it is Emily's diary and you're reading diary entries or journal entries of her, where she's like keeping track of everything that happens for scholarly reasons, but also like just as a journal, so she can help keep her mind straight in Fairy, because Fairy like plays tricks on mortal minds. I love the style that it's written. I'm really interested to see what Heather Fawcett is going to do now that the Emily Wilde series has wrapped up. But I thought this was a really great wrap up to the series. The ending, the specific way that ended, I think the second to last chapter, Wendell presents Emily with a gift that was so sweet and lovely, and this was a really challenging week, and this was the perfect book to have had with me in the hospital at this time. So really grateful to this book series for being there for me. So that's Emily Wilde. I'm sorry I didn't get to vlog it, but that's okay. My vlogs are usually too long anyway, so this probably helped. So the second book that I'll be reading is Death of the Author. I have just checked it out from the library and have started it, but I've only read like the first chapter, or first chapter and a half maybe. So I don't really have any thoughts yet at this point. What I do know about Death of the Author, just from reading the synopsis, is that it is about a woman who is like, her life is kind of falling apart, I think, and she is writing a sci-fi novel, and somehow what she's writing in the book and the reality that she's living become blurred in a very like surrealist, fever dreamy kind of way, is the impression that I've gotten. So that sounds super cool, and I will come back and let you know what I think after I have some thoughts on it. Hey, so it's been a little bit since I checked in. I can't remember what I told you in the first clip, but I was at my brother's house because we were having a bit of a family health crisis. That is over for the most part. The outcomes of that situation were much better than expected. So things are finally back to normal. I'm back at my own house again after spending a week and a half with family to handle that situation. So feeling much relieved. I just got out of the shower and I wanted to update you guys because I am now about 40% of the way into Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. And I am not vibing with the writing, but I am interested enough to continue with the book for sure. The perspective of this book is super unique, and I'm loving it for that. The main character is a Nigerian American woman who is in a wheelchair and has been since the age of 12. And she has a large Nigerian American family from different Nigerian tribes, and she has a lot of siblings, and she feels really stifled by her family. Because she is disabled, she feels like they always are babying her and not treating her with the same level of respect, and not treating her like an individual with wants and desires and dreams so much as a burden a lot of the time. And they talk down to her in a way that they don't talk down to other members of the family. When the book kicks off, she is at one of her sister's weddings, and she finds out while she is there that she is being fired from her job as an adjunct English professor of creative writing. It really is a low point for her, and she's been also working on a book for about 10 years and gets another rejection from her agent that her book is not being accepted by any editors. And so it kind of sends her into a spiral, and she decides to funnel all of that into more writing, and she ends up writing a sci-fi novel about robots. And before, she was kind of more in a literary writing sphere. She'd never really read or written sci-fi novels, but it ends up being a huge success, and suddenly her life just like takes off. At the point that I'm at in the book now, a man has contacted her who is a fan of hers, and he is an MIT professor who deals with like biotechnology, I guess, and has developed what he thinks will be like robotic legs that will help her walk, or that will do the walking for her because she's paraplegic. And so she is at MIT. It's a lot of like familial dynamics so far, and a lot of her dealing with kind of the dynamics of being a Black disabled woman in America, but also the family dynamics of how they treat her and how she's viewed in society, and then how all of that starts to shift as she becomes rich and famous, because her book is not just like a popular book. It sounds like it's a super popular book with like movie rights and deals and all kinds of things. In spite of all of this great stuff that is happening, this book is leaving breadcrumbs throughout about what is to come. And we don't know what is to come other than you can probably guess from the title. It sounds like the main character at some point is going to die, perhaps tragically or in a very public way, potentially. I'm not really sure, but it keeps leaving hints about this tragic event or thing that is coming. And most of the book is from the main character's perspective. Some of the book is from her family's perspectives, but it's all in the form of kind of like interview style, not where it's like question and answer so much, but it's like the family talking about their sister or their daughter or whatnot in kind of a past tense sort of way. And there's also snippets of the book that she wrote about robots, and that is kind of woven in. We get chapters of the actual book throughout this story, so it's kind of a book within a book situation. And I really love the robot book that she's written, even though we're getting snippets of it kind of out of order. And I think in some ways I'm more interested in that than I am in the story of what's happening with the author. But again, the breadcrumbs about some crazy thing that's going to happen, the death of the author potentially, has definitely got me intrigued for what's to come, because I have no idea what is going to happen from this point forward. I feel like I am gonna be just along for the ride. So that's Death of the Author at 40%, and I will let you know how it goes. It's confession time. I am DNFing Death of the Author. I'm sad about it because it's not a bad book. It's just, I'm not excited to pick it up. I can't remember when I last checked in with you, but I'm 50% of the way through the book now, and I just don't want to pick it up. I am not having a good time reading it. And it is now March 7th, and I've not completed a book all month. And it's because of this one, because every time I have the opportunity to read, I like watch an episode of Queer Eye or do something else with my time, because I'm just not enjoying this book. The main character is just very mistreated by her family and people that she meets because she is a disabled Black woman. And it's just really hard to read. It's not fun. It's not fun to read. And not that I don't want to engage with those sorts of stories, but it's just not what I was looking for. And like I said, I do really enjoy the sci-fi, like story within a story that's happening, but not enough to continue reading a book that is putting me in such a slump. So, unfortunately, this new release is not going to be completed. I always feel sad to DNF a book, but I am now wondering if Nnedi Okorafor is maybe not an author for me. This is just, it's way more contemporary than it is sci-fi, and I wanted a lot more sci-fi out of it, I guess, which is on me. The next book for this vlog is going to be The Book That Held Her Heart by Mark Lawrence, and I don't think that comes out for like another month yet, so you guys won't notice any difference because it'll be the next clip for you, but for me, this this vlog is going into the freezer for a while, and yeah, I'll see you guys again soon. So it has been months since I last checked in on this vlog. It's also in real time been weeks since I filmed a YouTube video, so it's time to get back in the game. Here's the deal. I know some of you know who have been following along, but we bought a house in October, late October, and kind of were in a holding pattern all winter, but now that the weather is nice, we've been doing yard work like mad. Also, I got really obsessed with Bridgerton for a few weeks and binged that. Also, I realized I was like 2 seasons behind on Queer Eye. Anyway, I've been watching a lot of TV and doing a lot of yard work and not doing a lot of reading. That's the long and short of it. So, time to get back into the swing of things. I did finally get my library hold for the new release, The Book That Held Her Heart, which is the 3rd and final book of the library trilogy by Mark Lawrence. And as it sits right now, I'm about 70% of the way through that book. And I'm honestly, I don't know if it's because I've been in a reading slump or if it's just been because it's been so long since I've read the last book, because I read the last book in April last year. I'm just feeling okay about this book. Like, it's definitely, like, I still enjoy the world, I still enjoy the characters, I still enjoy the plot, but I don't know, I'm not feeling the love for the series that I had in the first book. And that was true in the second book as well. But I feel like a lot of these chapters are ending on cliffhangers, but then we're following like 3 different groups of characters. And by the time we get back around to like the characters that we were with 3 chapters ago, I've already forgotten. And I'm like, oh yeah, they were in like a really dire situation. I forgot that was happening. So I don't feel like that's the best. And I think this is a me problem, not a book problem. And again, probably just because I've been out of the swing of reading for a little while. But yeah, it's not the like suck me in, I can't put it down type of book that I was hoping it was going to be. So what is this book about, for those of you who aren't aware? The library trilogy is about an infinite library, and essentially it's about like eons of history. These different species have warred for control of the library, and like history keeps repeating itself. So in this cycle, we're kind of following these 2 main characters called Elvira and Navarre. And in the first book, you're trying to figure out like how their stories interweave, and then the plot goes way out, of course, by the time we're here in the 3rd book. So in this book, basically there's 3 sets of characters. One set of characters is trying to figure out how to destroy the library. One set of characters is trying to figure out how to save the library. And one set of characters is looking for some sort of compromise solution. But there's like time travel that's happening because of like library magic stuff. And for a while we ended up in like World War II in like our real world, and I didn't love that. I really wanted it to remain like fantastical, and I thought like how it was tied in was really interesting and like totally makes sense. But just the fact that it was like a World War II, Jewish people are being suppressed, and there's like parallels between that and what's going on in these other worlds that they're visiting, and like I get it, but I'm just like, with everything that's going on in the United States of America right now, it's just a storyline that feels a little tired. I wish we would have gone somewhere else, just because I wanted more of an escape, I guess, than what I'm getting. So that's how I'm feeling at the moment, but I've probably got about 3 or 3.5 hours more of reading before I finish this book, so I will tune in and let you guys know what I thought at the end of it. Bye! Hey, it's been a while since I've checked in, but I finished The Book That The Book That Held Her Heart. The names are also similar in the series. I will say the issues that I was kind of having in the middle, where I wasn't necessarily feeling like super connected to any of the particular plot lines, kind of continued throughout the book, but I did really feel the emotional impact at the end of the book. And I felt like the way that the story wrapped up was extremely hard-hitting and definitely like tied a really nice bow on everything. And I just really love Mark Lawrence's worlds and his writing. So even though I still think the first book in this series hit a lot harder than the second and third one, I still really, really enjoyed this series overall. I really love the themes that were played with in the Library trilogy about like racism and oppression and the nature of knowledge and like how knowledge is shared. I think all of that is really, really cool and intriguing to explore through this world. Yeah, I would highly recommend this series overall. I would give the series like a 4-star. Like I said, the very last like chapter or two definitely like had me in my feels a lot. And I also just want to say that I absolutely love Wentworth. He's horrifying and delightful, and I wish I had a Wentworth of my own. Okay, so that is the wrap up finally of this anticipated new releases vlog. And thank you guys so much for tagging along with me. In my mind, or in reality, I guess, this vlog has been going on for months. So I'm glad to finally see it close, and I hope you guys enjoyed the ride. Thanks so much for tuning in and hanging out, and as always, please be kind, read more books, and hit the subscribe button down below for more bookish content to come. I'll see you again soon.